So yeah, I mean, I guess I'll start since I feel I maybe have a bit more knowledge
Yep.
on this because I was
Yep.
asked to speak about this on CBC because of how angry I was. And like Dialogue New Brunswick, if you're listening, I'm sorry that I got heated, but I just would like some clarification. So Dialogue New Brunswick posted probably a week and a half or 2 weeks ago about their African Heritage Month opening ceremony, which will be happening from noon to 1 Eastern, so 1 to 2 Atlantic, on February 1st. The panel includes Sa Andrew, who is the host, who does Battle of the Arts New Brunswick. Then they've got
Good guy.
Yusuf Shire, another Black, I would say, like person that we both know, who it
Yep.
does the New Brunswick African Association, right? If
Yep.
I'm correct, yes.
Uh,
And then there's 5 white people. Sorry, wait. I think wait, let me count. Yeah, 5 white people, and now they've added 1 Indigenous elder. But at the time when I first spoke about this, there was no Indigenous elder that was part of the panel. There was just the 5 white people. So they have since added Imelda Purley as an elder who will be speaking. But at the time of my CBC rant, the other guests were Brenda Murphy, Arlene Dunn, Tammy Scott Wallace, Blaine Higgs, and Nadine Duguay-Lemay, who is the CEO of Dialogue New Brunswick. Upon doing research, their team does consist of 4 or 5 white people and 1 Asian woman, and I believe primarily Acadian, just to give a full scope of what their team, who's working there. So there is no Black staff. They do have people of color on their board. And so their description of the event is essentially the theme is one of the values that Dialogue New Brunswick holds dear, which is Ubuntu, a humanist notion originating from Southern Africa that could be translated as I am what I am because of what we all are. This definition of social cohesion will be the starting point of our guests' reflections, who will draw up a portrait of the actions undertaken in New Brunswick in terms of equity, diversity, inclusion, and anti-racism. I will add that social cohesion is what they have several times on their website as part of their sort of endeavor and mission, and that their part of their mission is understanding and equality through the lens of social cohesion. Now, keep in mind, again, that the Ubuntu, I am what I am because of what we all are, is going to be the starting point of a conversation of equity, diversity, and inclusion that includes bleedings. And so before I continue with my main feelings, Clinton, do you want to go first with your initial thoughts on this specific Black History Month panel?
I'm going to speak on this specific Black History Month panel because I think Dialogue NB is a great organization and I have seen them do great things in the past. I also think Nadine Duguay-Lemay is a person who is very involved in dialogue and diversity and does make a good effort to foster that in her organization and the people she works with. However, I think it may be a miss. I think there may be a definite miss with this African Heritage Month panel. Unless the panel is intended to be highly political in terms of getting feedback from politicians, which it didn't sound like in your description, I don't see why there would need to be 5 white people on the panel. I'm okay with white people being on the panel, I think, but I don't know why there would need to be so many. On the one hand, you could say it really, 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 really shows the lack of diversity in New Brunswick politics because I believe they were all sort of, aside from Nadine, involved in the political sphere. There's Arlene Dunn, who I know is part of the Black Lives Matter St. John or New Brunswick board down there in St. John, and I know she has intercultural children, half Black children. But no, like there's a Black mayor, there's Philomene, who I believe she holds a political position somewhere within the scope. I can't say exactly where. And there's a lot more key figures that we could have had for African Heritage Month, especially maybe Africans, other than Sa and Yusuf, that would have really contributed to this. I don't know if people like Blaine Higgs are on there to increase awareness and visibility. I am going to listen to it because I want to hear what the hell this man has to say about diversion and inclusiveness and stuff like that. I think it's just going to be more spewing of, actually, I don't think it's going to be that great, because I'd like to talk to him about Dr. Ngola and the lawsuit pending. I don't think Blaine Higgs is going to bring that up on February 1st. What I have to say about it is it was shocking, and there wasn't any real diversity on the panel. They added one person, good, I believe, in response to your roasting of them, or commentary on it. So you affected change, which is what speaking up can do. Let me drop that in there. People need to speak up. That's the only way to affect change. Those are my thoughts on it. Let's take it back to you.
I mean, I certainly hope I effectuated change. I did say, I did write and read something for 3 whole minutes for CBC, as well as commented on the event itself, asking how these white politicians would be able to speak about social cohesion through a Black person's lens, because I do not believe they can bring that that perspective. I find, first of all, the word social cohesion very weird. It sounds to me like mosaic without saying mosaic, but assimilation without saying assimilation. It's like trying to stick puzzle pieces together. And in the New Brunswick community, I don't know that I want to stick myself next to some of the people who've been extremely racist around me. I find it a weird concept, a weird mission statement, but they can, they're allowed to have their mission statement. I just have questions about that specific language and jargon. I find it to be weird. I'm happy that they added a community elder. I think that is very important. But by and large, my main thing is that if you're going to be speaking about policy, and all of the provincial policymakers are white, it's like you chose the topic knowing you were going to be exclusive and not inclusive. I think that having Kasim Doumbia would have been an amazing moment. I know they've worked with Diani Blanco before, who was the first Black woman to run for city council. Don't know why she wasn't a part of this. It feels to me like there are a lot of people maybe on a municipal level who are trying to effectuate change who could have been a part of it. They chose to go provincial where they know there is no representation. And so I don't know what kind of positive change they expect to happen from this panel. And I also, they have Yusuf and Sa, which is great, but they also have Sa as a host and not necessarily giving commentary. And so I'm interested in seeing how that's going to play out, because you've got a Black person hosting it almost as if that is co-signing it without actually having him participate in the conversation itself. And to me, that feels very tokenizing of these 2 Black men. And I don't like that. I don't like that for them. I don't like that for their associations. And I don't like it for Dialogue New Brunswick, who up until recently, absolutely no offense to them, but I was not aware of the work that they were doing. It's unfortunate for me that I now know a lot about them because of this, in my opinion, miss. So that's my take. Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, now you know about them, and
Yeah.
I feel I feel do they have a stronger focus on sort of the Acadian Anglophone angle? I think, is that part of their initial, I think Dialogue NB was initially founded to bridge the gap. I could be completely wrong, to kind of bridge the gap between French and English here in New Brunswick by creating a dialogue, and that they've branched into other things. But I mean, social cohesion, I'll just have the definition in front of me here. I mean, it refers to the strength of relationships and the sense of solidarity among members of a community. Which is a great mantra for the English and French. But if you're going to try to host a seminar during Black History Month, calling it African Heritage Month, I can't see what Blaine Higgs is going to contribute to African heritage. moment of silence because that's dead in the water.
That's the thing. Like, I don't
What
understand how Blaine Higgs is going to encourage conversation even around social cohesion. The man wouldn't enshrine Truth and Reconciliation Day, couldn't hire the systemic, like, commissioner against systemic racism on time. He's
other
anti-racism.
other than saying he wants more African immigrants to come here to contribute to the economy and pay to come here only to be told their job skills and experience don't matter and qualify, and you have to go back to school if you want to do anything, otherwise you have to be a taxi driver. I don't know what Blaine Higgs can contribute to the social cohesion of African, other than getting an African doctor in a province where we don't have enough doctors to leave the province and practice in Quebec. I mean, thanks for that. Seeing Blaine Higgs on it is what makes me the most upset, and I'm gonna listen. I mean, if
Yeah.
you know,
I'm gonna
maybe
listen too.
maybe I wouldn't have tuned in if it didn't seem so controversial to me, because there's a lot going on that day, as we discussed. There's a lot of events happening that day. I'm gonna
Yes.
flag raising, and then let's plug the other event taking place that day.
Yeah,
What is
so
it?
the CPPAANB.
Really? Yeah,
I
that's a
love
long ass name.
that there's a beat to it though, and I say it in my head, but the Conseil des Personnes Provinciales Ascendantes Africaines du Nouveau-Brunswick, the CPPAANB, they're having a panel, and I believe that it's actually going to be bilingual, despite the fact that they are sort of, I believe, French mandated.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it here. It does have some people that we know on the panel. CPPAANB. Let me find it. There we go.
I'm just picturing you in like 90s pastel colors, beatboxing, like
CPPAANB.
rocking.
So there's
Hillary's not a rapper, everyone. She's not even into rap. So that was pretty
Hey,
impressive. That was like a
I like a
90s
little
flow.
bit of rap.
I guess.
I've seen Nicki Minaj in concert. Is
Great.
that rap?
That's black pop. Okay.
Yeah, I
We've
know.
got folks, everyone who's listening, there's rap and then there's black pop. And that's fine. If you want to be a black pop artist, that's great. It's amazing. We need more black pop artists. But like there's a difference for sure. Hip hop,
the
rap, trap, black
CPPAANB.
pop. Okay, like back on. Sorry, that was my segue. Go on.
I appreciate you. So theirs is going to be at 5 Atlantic that evening. So you do have time to catch both Blaine Higgs trying to speak to Black people and then Black people speaking to Black people. The CPPAANB has Leila Sall, who is a professor at Université de Moncton for the Department of Sociology and Criminology. Paris Sudith, directress of the Old River Productions and Legal Services, Mohammed Shakouri, recruitment officer at UDM as well, and the president of the Moroccan Association of New Brunswick, Kasim Doumbia, who we've spoken about now several times, and Dr. Mary Louise McCarthy, a New Brunswick historian, also I would say a friend of ours who we very much appreciate all of her historical knowledge.
Absolutely.
So that'll be happening at 5 p.m. Atlantic. And then I know that UNB is also having a panel as well, although I don't know if theirs is.
Why are you looking that up? Yeah, just more and more people are popping into my mind. Like, why not have the leader of Black Lives Matter New Brunswick, Black Lives Matter Fredericton on it? Like, there's so many people that are so much more informed on the topic. And I mean, and I don't know if they'll be, will they be speaking to Black people or white people? It's probably mostly white people, because that is the province we live in.
Yeah, it's hard to say. And maybe that's why Dialogue New Brunswick went that way. You know, they're trying to have white policy people speak about what they're doing, but it still feels very much like this is supposed to be a celebration of Black things. And you've got white people telling Black people how they're going to make the government more inclusive. But also it could be lies, because it doubles as political propaganda. I believe it could be Blaine Higgs fetching for votes. It's definitely giving him an opportunity to do so. There's nothing saying that that anybody speaking will uphold anything that they're saying if they're about to deliver potential promises to be more inclusive. If they're talking about the work that we've already done, what work? Where? if they say hiring a commissioner for systemic racism, that's certainly not enough, and it hasn't even proved to be effective yet. All she's done has been tell PEI to get 1, 2, and a podcast. I have 4.
Oh, we
Anyone
don't
can have a
know.
podcast.
We don't know what she's done or she's doing. We'll see what the report says.
Of
There's a
course.
disconnect between what she possibly may be doing and what they possibly may do with that info, right?
Yeah.
As we said before, I know we teased her before, but she is a really qualified person. I'm trying to provide some balance here because I
Yes, I like my
don't make
bitterness
too
is
many enemies our first episode.
I have my gripe is not with Dr. Manchu Pharma.
Yes,
It is
exactly. Yeah.
with the government using this position as a band-aid for how they've treated colored people when it is definitely not enough. It is a step in the right
Perfect.
direction that we do not know what consequences it will lead. We do not know if her work and that report will actually lead to better things. We hope it does. I am happy that she is doing her work. I still have a lot of problems with the government maybe saying that that was enough and good enough for how Black people, Indigenous people, colored people in New Brunswick have been treated. Another Black History Month event I wanted to shout out before I forget is that Thursday, February 3rd at 7 Atlantic, UNB will be having their 6th annual Black History Month lecture with Dr. Deidre Cooper Owens about why Black history matters in the scope of American medicine, which is very interesting,
Oh yeah,
especially
I saw that.
since
Yeah.
you had found out that Black History Month is themed every year.
Yeah. So this
Who
year's
knew?
theme for Black History Month is mental health and wellness, which I think is a perfect time for that.